Two experts in ICF.
Yeah.
Decades of experience.
Uh-huh.
One podcast.
Yeah.
Two hosts with a lot to say.
Look, I cannot sit through a struggle. I gotta get up and hustle. I gotta push through the pain, cause really that's how you build muscle.
Welcome to the Build With ICF podcast with your hosts, Trevor Brown and Heather Herring Brown. Yep, they're a package deal. With over 20 years of ICF installation experience, Trevor can throw down some expertise on sales, marketing, and training. On the other side of the table sits Heather, aka the girl boss. And she's earned the title as the owner of an award-winning ICF construction company, a drafting and design company specializing in ICF. And the numbers? With a master's in accounting, she does that too. Sleeves up, boots on. This is the Build With ICF podcast.
I don't want nothing for free. I'm here to work. I've been through the dirt. I've been through the dirt. Yeah.
Oh, I get to start. You always wait for me to start it.
Oh, you don't have a whole lot else to do on this episode, so I figured you'd want to do the start. This may be the very few bits they hear of you.
I know. Well, I was watching, though, as we were listening to the intro, you frantically looking so you can know what episode this is.
That's really funny because
That's not what you were doing.
That's not what I was doing. But this is episode 43. Welcome to episode 43.
Okay.
I did look that up now, so.
Okay. Well, good. And there's a lot going on, like, right now.
Other than me being sick. Just
yes.
So if anybody's listening, you have sympathy for me and wonder
Nobody has sympathy for you. You're fine.
They say that everybody's sad. They're like, God, they sound
take a
so
cough
sick.
drop.
It's so.
Rest.
You don't understand how it feels to be sick as a man. It's worse than childbirth.
Oh, okay. We won't go
A
down
cold
that road.
is horrible.
Oh, yes. I know. I
But,
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same cold a couple days ago, but I'm already through it. And yeah.
Yeah.
so-
Well, you don't understand how bad it is for us. No
All
empathy.
right. On to like better topics
Okay.
that people really come here to listen to, not about your cold.
Yeah. So we are going to do a recap of the World of Concrete. I had a few people reach out and ask for kind of what we thought and ask us questions of what we thought. We didn't think anything because we weren't there. I was.
You,
So it's
yes,
what I
you.
thought of World
But
of
I know
Concrete.
that like there were some things that you were talking about that you didn't get a mention. I think when we were talking about the award show,
Yeah.
stuff that you saw down there and different things that you wanted to bring up, and
Yeah.
the boys have reminded you about some stuff that they saw while they were there, and so I know it was a good show. We're getting ready to go back. Well, I am getting ready to go to Vegas. You are getting ready to go back to Vegas because we're going to go down for the International Builder Show.
Yeah.
With NAHB.
We will all be
will
back
all
there
be there.
again.
Yes. So
So our second week in Vegas every year that we
Yep.
do. So that'll be really good. And we'll do a recap of the Builder Show too, because there's a lot of good things there. I think it's a different crowd because the Builder Show brings in, I've always said, and I arguably, because I know there's a lot of ICF manufacturers that don't go to the Builder Show because they put all their eggs kind of in that World of Concrete basket. Excuse me. I think that the Builder Show to me, not that they're wrong, but I feel it's more important because I think everybody at the World of Concrete knows what an ICF is. You're not getting on an airplane and going to Vegas to the World of Concrete and not know what
Okay.
ICF is or what a insulated concrete form is. The Builder Show, you still have a lot of, virgin eyes on things. So after a lot of years of working those booths and sitting in this show, I can tell you a totally different conversation from World of Concrete to Builder Show. And so company I worked for always did both. So we go back to back.
Yeah.
And so you'd have these totally different conversations as working in the booth. So
well, and I think we can finish up kind of this episode today because I know you have a lot to talk about with World of Concrete, but we'll talk about some of the stuff that's coming up at World of Concrete or at
Builder Show.
Show.
Yeah. So first of all, kind of pulled together some numbers. Looked about 60,000 people attended the World of Concrete, which is crazy. I laugh because I know so many people I say World of Concrete to, and they go, "Is that
a thing?
Is that really? Are you making that?" They think it's a joke. They like laugh a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, you're serious? There's an actual World of Concrete." I'm like, "Yeah, if you're not in the concrete business, you probably don't think there's a World of Concrete." But anyways, there is. It's pretty awesome. It's a big show. So 60,000 people, that's really good. Over 1,500 exhibitors this year. They didn't have West Hall open, but they had, North, Central, and South. And we ran through everything, but we did get to all ends of the earth.
It's a very, there's a lot with over 1,500 exhibitors, like you said, taking up, they're not over in West Hall, but it's only Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like
Yeah.
8
You
to
got
5.
to book.
You gotta cruise.
20,000 steps a day. We were doing between 18 and 20,000 steps a day on our watches. But the cool thing was, out of that 1,500, there was over 300 brand new first year exhibitors, which I thought was kind of interesting. It's probably one of the more interesting things I saw at the show was the fact that you had that there were so many new products, like so many, like ICF related. I mean, there's a lot of new products. Obviously, there wasn't 300 new ICF products, but just saying 300 new products. But within that, there was, I just noticed a lot of two things, like new ICF products necessarily was, like not brand new, haven't seen them, but so many different companies now encompassing ICF, like in their booth. Yeah, like in their booth, they had an ICF, like there was a lot of like companies that had like, waterproofing that they showed an example of it on ICF or this or that, or like a coating system or, it was just, it was getting a nod, at least more people paying attention to it, which I thought was kind of interesting, but plays into that whole, new exhibitors in the show. So it was kind of an interesting thing, but
it's kind of a place where people roll out kind of new products and new things, and not necessarily maybe brand new, but they're like product releases and different things.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's the first time there. I mean, like we've talked about a lot of them on here, so it's a little bit of a recap, but like we had Andy Lennox on here from Element ICF. It was kind of their big rollout. They did a rollout at the IBS show last year, privately, not in the booth, just kind of like
invite only type thing.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. We got invited to that last year at the IBS show. This year was their first year of like really blowing it up in the booth. I mean, you walked up and you saw Element ICF was there, and they did a great job. Even like when they came to the awards ceremony, they all had these bright neon sweaters on, hoodies on, and so I mean you couldn't miss these guys. Like Element was out there, man. It was great. Got to spend some time with Andy and all the guys there, and it was had a really good meeting with them. Got to take our guys by the booth and get their hands on some Element, ICF, and really push the see how fast we could do, how it worked, kind of explain the differences of it. It was definitely a lot of activity at that booth because of the fact that it was, like I said, they're the only new block to really hit the industry in a long time, and a lot of new stuff that we haven't seen anything different for a while. So it did attract a lot of attention, and they did a really good job of kudos to those guys for really getting the attention. Like they did a good job with branding. Everyone was, swagged out. It was really good. So that was kind of fun. Anvik had talked about rolling out a buck system, their own Ambuck, buck system. And so we got to see that, got to go put our hands on some and see that in the booth, which was kind of exciting because that's something that they've been talking about for quite a few years, about coming out with their own buck system, because they had, pretty much had been supplying other brands of buck system with their block. So they come out with their own block or their own buck system. It's pretty cool. Just shows that companies are investing into new products in our industry. So I think that's probably the more important thing to take out of this is like, it's just getting bigger. This ball's just getting rolling. I mean, it's
growing and growing.
Crazy.
And then all these, I call them kind of like more supportive products. It makes, it makes the exterior of your home, you don't get the thermal bridging, between the wood buck, or with the foam. And so just, making it easier, making it more user-friendly really is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, and kind of the one-stop shop thing. I mean, I think I like when a company can provide all the things you need to do the job. I think that's important. We like that in all aspects of, different stuff that we sell and do and different things. So I think that's important for people to have, that all those different lines. But yeah, we saw, I mean, every different side of different things. One of the things we talked about is accessories. I got to go meet with Simpson.
Oh yeah.
So this is a question. I'll probably actually bring it up on the next listener questions, because just in case someone skips over this episode and goes to listeners questions, because this is a question that we get asked a lot. And so I was actually, it was funny because the guy I needed to talk to in the Simpson booth, him and I were on teeter-totter schedule. Like every time I showed up, he was gone. We did back and forth. I kept missing the guy. And finally got to talk with him. Great guy, engineer that does their fasteners basically for the guy that handles the ICF VL hanger that we, a lot of people use
so much.
Right. We use a ton of them. And so my big concern is that, I mean, realistically, in the real world, people are using them on the exterior of houses for decks and patios and things like that. And, and we've never done that. We would never do that because they're not rated for that. Wink, wink. But I went to the guy, and I've been trying to figure this out I'm like, what is holding this up? Why? I mean, let's just, so I went to the guy and said, I'm just going to be straight up honest with you. Every builder I know is using these on the outside of their house. I know it says they're not rated for this, but explain to me why. What is it? What makes it not rated? And he explained to me it's the fastener. It's the actual self-tapper screw that you put in to hold the ledger on that goes through into the metal. The metal itself is all stainless is fine. It's the fastener that is not. So we basically, I said, is there any workarounds to this? I said, is there any? Can someone yell up the ladder here, up the, to Simpson Corporate? And he's like, well, I am Simpson Corporate. I'm like, can you do something to get us a fastener that will work outside? Because I go, like I said, we all know they're doing it. Everybody's doing it outside. He says there's an issue with the tempered steel, the way, the tensile strength of the screw, and being able to have a self-tapping head on it that will also penetrate. Anyway, way over my head. So I, it's probably people screaming again at their car, at their radio. But the fact is that they haven't figured it out yet, right? They're working on it. They're going to, see what they can do. So right now he says you have to create, the way he kind of explained it is you have to create an interior environment for that screw.
So encase it.
Yeah, encase it or keep weather off of it. So whatever you got to do to keep weather off of those screws that are attaching to that ledger. So he, full disclosure, Simpson did not, this is not a Simpson authorized. I'm not saying that. This gentleman was very clear that he just said the statement would be that you'd have to create an interior, as long as you created an interior environment for those screws, it would work. Meaning if you framed a wall and waterproofed it, around your ledger board, then that would be fine. Talking to a lot of different guys about that after I talked to that guy, we came up with some ideas of just waterproofing it. Even I've talked to guys about putting, Suprema peel and stick over it or something, something that basically is going to seal off. We talked about spraying it with Hulk waterproofing, putting 40 mils of Hulk waterproofing over it,
there's material out there for like putting over, like when you're doing a deck in between I'm a builder and I don't know the name of these right now, putting over like your deck boards over the top of the joists. So there's stuff that you can put over that.
Yeah. So basically what the thought process was, you got to somehow seal those screws so that they don't get water on them. So anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting because that's something that I get at, people talk about all the time. I've had people ask us those questions. So, because
it seems like you just get, self-tapper that's, got a different coating on it and it would be fine. But apparently that's a whole new thing.
Yeah. And two, we're going to talk about this a little bit. We've got just a little teaser. We've got the guys coming on from Berman to talk about their hangers. And so we're going to get into that a little bit too on a different episode, because they do have exterior hangers that we can as an option. So that's something that came up too. But I got to catch up with them a little bit at the show, but we basically said, we'll just do a podcast about it and then we can talk about it on there. So we're going to talk more about that. So if you are in the questioning other options for fasteners and hangers and stuff like that, we're going to have them on as well. So
yeah, but the fact that there are so many options for hangers and fasteners and everything for ICF is huge, because it just makes our life so much simpler when, the engineer comes onto the job site, or, when you're looking at building something and you already have something that you can call out that's standard. It's a normal thing that they see from a company that they see all the time. So the inspectors don't question it.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we want to have these guys on. I was talking with them about it there at the show, because I was just sitting there saying we need to get you guys on here and talk about the fact that we have all these accessories on. So I've talked to the people at Windblock. I want them to come on, and then the guys at Clearco Fasteners. They sell Berman hangers, different things. Like I've talked to the guys at Watkins. There's a lot of these, and I think that gives validity to our industry. Like when there's these companies out there with these products that are, again, it gives me confidence when I see all these different companies that are selling into our industry and creating big companies selling to our industry with accessories. So yeah, it's a huge part of it. So it'll be exciting. And that was that again, part of that fun of being at World of Concrete was getting to see all those guys and hey, let's get you on the podcast. So
Yeah, 100%.
definitely got a lot more coming up here because I got to light a fire under everybody while we were at World of Concrete. So I'm excited to have all those guys on.
Well, and I think we kind of talked about this with World of Concrete, for those of us, out here in the West, it's kind of a kickoff to spring. It's when people, we kind of start closing down for you and I around, November 1st when the snow starts flying. And then we're like, okay, we're going to get going on some exterior projects, get going on some new jobs here, as soon as the weather turns. And World of Concrete kind of seems to be that kickoff for when people start really thinking about that and getting going on things.
Yeah. I mean, all of a sudden my bids took off like crazy.
I
World of Concrete, they got everybody kind of juices flowing. And I think it's always been that way in the building industry. Even before I was in ICF, it was always home shows come around in March, and that's when everybody starts wanting to do stuff. So it gets pretty crazy. But the other thing got people fired up was the awards show.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Craig and Vanessa for doing another just killer job at that builder show. And it was so much fun. They showed some pictures up on the screen of, 20 years ago or 25 years ago, or I guess it's 20 years ago, when they would just stand around a booth. And they just tell everybody, be here at 5:00 after the show gets over. At the end of the show, we're going to do the ICF awards here in the booth. And there's, 15 people standing around a booth, a 10 by 10 booth, to do the awards. And now it was just packed, standing room only, hundreds of people in a room. Just, bar, multiple bars and food and just so cool. And like I said, Element guys all showing up in their matching hoodies and, Jose had his whole crew there and his entourage. And just, next edition of the magazine coming out here in, I guess, another couple months because it just came out. I wrote an article about the show. It means so much to me just because I think it's just the coolest part of going down there for me because I get to see all these people that I only see once a year and just get to see kind of all my heroes and everybody that I respect in the industry and everybody in one spot. It's just like phenomenal. And to be able to, the white beard and the years of experience now kind of, makes me feel good because I got younger guys coming up to me now and saying, oh yeah, I know you, I've listened to the podcast, or I know who you are, I read your article in the magazine or whatever. And want to talk to you about this. So, now I'm one of the guys that gets stuck there after the, doors are closing and everyone's kind of standing around, talking to me about stuff.
I know all of our listeners are shocked when they say that you get stuck talking with people.
I know. Weird, right?
Weird, crazy.
The kids are trying to pull me out the door and they're like, what are you doing?
See ya.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the thing for me in going and what I really missed, being there this year is I love seeing all the new designs, and that's the design side for me. I just love seeing all the new things that people are doing with ICF and what they're building and just the cool structures that they're doing in homes and pools and schools and just
the amount of categories that there are now. Just because there's so many people putting in for awards that they've broken it into all these different categories. And you're like, this is just wild to me that they can have, this many things on here. But yeah, it's super cool. It was definitely something that was impressive every year. It's impressive. So again, shout out to Vanessa and Craig for this and so cool and to see it really growing and doing what it does. And to everybody we saw there at the awards and got to talk with everybody. Actually, I ran it. So Dave Groen is going to be on here in an upcoming episode. And we're recording with him this week. He's out of New Hampshire and started, single family residential, now does huge commercial projects, was up for multiple awards, just amazing projects. And he actually came and sought me out at the thing and introduced himself and said, hey, I'd love to come on and talk about my ICF journey on there, which is, like I've said, kind of the direction we want to head with this is these cool ICF journey stories. And so Dave's going to come on and do that for us. We're scheduled with him to record. So yeah, super excited. That was, again, just a thing that was great about being at the awards and being able to meet people and get these connections and relationships set up. So pretty important. So if you're going next year, definitely get in and RSVP for the ICF Builder Awards. It's usually one of the first nights, and it's usually right at the end of the.
It's on Wednesday evenings during
always Wednesday.
Yeah.
Usually Wednesday, but yeah, right in there, and it's always on the right after the show. You go upstairs, usually in North Hall. They've got the same room. It's usually like N256 or something.
Unless they're gonna go to a different venue because that location is packed. Like you guys, there's no more room in there. They might be
booking out the Coliseum or something. I don't know. Maybe the football stadium, Allegiant Field. It's getting pretty big, so that's pretty awesome. So
yeah,
and I would say, bragging on you, probably one of the biggest, coolest things that happened to us down there was just the overall success of innovative draft and design blueprint stuff.
It's been exciting. Our phone, it was kind of crazy because people would see you down there, and when Whitney wasn't with you or whatever, we started getting phone calls and different stuff, and it's been a busy month since you've been back.
Yeah, well, and I mean, and it was just as simple as like putting down some cards, and just getting them out into the different booths and people we knew, all the different brands, and you'd always go around and say, hey man, we got this, here's our card with a QR code on it, if anyone's looking for blueprints. And just funny, just small world, standing in the Superform booth and was hanging out with those guys for a while, and those guys standing there talking, and all of a sudden one of the guys was like, yeah, I'm going to call these guys for some blueprints, and I can't remember if it was Jason Snyder, who somebody turned around, well, that's the guy right there. And it's like, turns around and starts talking to me, and he's like, yeah, we have some blueprints we need to get done. And he starts kind of talking blueprint jargon to me. And I said, hold on, looked up, Whitney was walking. I said, here, that's who you need to talk to right there. She's the brains, and so she comes over and starts talking to him. And ended up, we're drawing plans for him. And so, like now already like right back into it. So,
we quickly put together a portfolio of plans for a couple of different builders for projects that they were working on, and some Habitat for Humanity homes and some different things. Just, it was kind of cool to have that opportunity to put those together and submit for that. And, Building with ICF obviously we're very passionate about that. And anytime we can share plans and make it easier for people, that's what we want to do.
Yeah, no, it's going to be little shout. I did forget I was going to mention we were talking about new products, Superform. So I just was replaying in my head, standing in the booth with those guys, that they had brought out their one-sided form at this show. So you got to see their one-sided ICF form, which was really cool. That's something that's becoming more and more popular with all the brands. People wanting different uses for exposed concrete.
Yeah. Well, we draw a lot. It seems like it goes in waves, but lately we've drawn a lot of plans with elevator shafts.
Yeah.
And that's where those one-sided blocks really come in handy. So
all the boys at Superform, shout out to those guys. Hung out with them quite a bit and had a good time, showing off that form. But yeah, that was one thing I think we got the most out of the show. And I was kind of telling the employees there as we were looking around at stuff, and kept running into people looking for blueprints, and everybody was like, well, yeah, I gotta get a blueprint drawn up. Once I find somebody to draw the blueprints for, but a lot of them don't know about ICF. And I'm like, we do, pocket full of cards, handing them out. And it was just funny to me how many people didn't, they're understanding the fact that you have to have you got to get started with the blueprint. And that's what we try to tell people all the time, is we say, well, you've got, you don't have to come up with $1 million for the house right now. You just need to come up with, a few $1,000s to have your plans drawn, because you're not going to get any accurate numbers, for bidding and stuff to find out what your job's going to cost unless you have a set of plans. So we really do push the blueprints first and get these designed, because then you can really start dialing in your budget. Not to mention, I've had really good success with some of our customers that got their plans early. We're able to, get a deal on cabinets or appliances or flooring or whatever it was, because they know exactly what they need. So anyway, little shameless plug for Innovative Draft and Design there, because you guys can really get it started and get it going for them. And we work with all different ICF brands. So whatever brand you're wanting to work with, we're able to work and design to those dimensions exactly for that block.
Yeah, we have all their CAD files and everything that we can bring in for detail sheets and all that kind of stuff, all the different block companies. So we can do all of those. But I'm really excited too, kind of transitioning out of World of Concrete. We've got the Builder Show coming up, and there are actually like some educational sessions and coffee, meet and greets, and different things. I know Robert Kloeb is hosting an educational session on ICF and concrete with the Building Systems Council. We're we're panelists or something like that for a coffee Q&A type thing, which is also, I believe, with the Building System Council. There's a lot of stuff this year on Insulated Concrete Forms at IBS, which I'm really excited for.
Yeah, they're doing another there's an educational class actually during the education side, not related to the expo part of it.
Yep.
It's actually in the education side, an ICF class is being taught this year. So huge amount of excitement around ICF at the International Builder Show this year. So already, like I said, we got reached out to and asked to be, involved in some stuff and, talking to people. I know the buzzword is resilient homes this year.
Yeah.
We were at World of Concrete during the whole, a lot of that California fire stuff. And so it's still top of mind with everybody. And I know,
insurance.
We both sit on NHB boards and in committees and a lot of those conversations in those are about what are we going to do about insurance. They're talking about creating their own insurance committee within the association to start talking to people, start having that conversation between the home building associations and the insurance associations to make sure that people can even still get insurance for their houses. And that's a reality that's happening in certain areas where they're saying we're not going to reinsure a house that we know is going to burn down again. So back to a couple episodes ago,
or whatever,
my rant about fire a couple episodes ago, it's really happening. So we're actually headed down to Vegas here this next week, and we will be involved in meetings talking about building ICF homes that will not burn down and be more resilient. So that's going to be super cool to spread our word a little bit at the non-concrete show.
The non-concrete. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. Last week was my last week as our state president for the Idaho Home Builders Association. So, looking forward to stepping into past president role and getting back to work. But just really excited to go to Vegas and see these other classes being held, and educating the other 80% of home builders out there.
Yeah, no,
maybe it's more than, I don't know what
90%,
90%.
Yeah, the people that are building their houses wrong.
Yes.
So the 90% that are wrong, try to bring them over to the right side. But no, it'll be good, and we're continuing on even on the fire side of things. We got a lot of questions about the option of like more fireproof ICF than just the regular. We're scheduled to get monolith polyurethane insulated concrete forms on, and they're the more fire resistant foam. So I don't even know a ton about them, so I'm not going to speak a whole ton. But they reached out with us kind of going on our rant about fireproof stuff. We're going to talk with them a little bit about their new product that's coming out that's going to be a more fire resistant foam than the expanded polystyrene. So super cool. There's a lot of cool new stuff coming up that we'll be talking about on here. So that's about it.
All right.
I think we nailed down the recap and plus some.
Well, I was just going to say, as we move forward, we are going to be, like I said, at that Q&A. So I'm sure we'll bring back some of those that information for our next listener questions. But continue to send in your questions. You can go to the website buildwithicf.com. You can submit your questions there. You can submit them on our socials at buildwithicf, and you can email us info@buildwithicf.com.
Yeah.
All come directly to Trevor
all
and I.
The ways to get a hold of us.
All the different ways. And then we will get those questions.
We got Build with ICF swag. We handed out some shirts. We got to get some shirts at World of Concrete.
Apparently they're like in high demand. One of them got stolen, and so now we've got to say
we have photo evidence, by the way. If you're listening, we know you stole the shirt. We have photo evidence of it. So
all right.
we got to ship a different. Now we got to send another shirt because they're getting stolen. That's how hot they are. So post up on Instagram. Tag.
Those are on our website too.
Yep. You can just go buy one if you don't want to have to steal one and break the law. Jason. But if you want to go out there and get a free one maybe sent to you, you can post up on Instagram and tag at Build with ICF and let us know you're watching the podcast or watching.
Listening?
Depends on how I do it.
I know.
Sometimes I do. I just
We've been
stare
talking
at-
about taking it, and making it so that, there's video, but we haven't done that just yet.
I know. Then I'd have to do my hair and makeup and
Mhm.
get all pretty. We'd have to hire stylists and stuff like that. I'd have
That's
to
a
get
lot.
nicer. I'd have to get like a dress hoodie,
Oh, okay.
like a tuxedo hoodie.
Mhm.
That ain't gonna happen. So, all right, guys, appreciate you listening. Appreciate you guys out there. Can't say enough again. Thank you how much it means to us when you guys reach out and tell us you like the show, because we really do it out of love, and we're happy to do it for money. If anyone wants to offer us more money, we're more than happy to take money for it. But right now, we just do it for the love of the industry. So, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys, and we will talk to you guys next time.